Hi.
We are streaming live in the Twitchverse, and we are coming to you recorded on a podcast via iTunes or some other thing. I am Derek, and I have with me, of course, my regular hosts.
Ryan.
I'm Ray.
One of you is far more excited to be here than the other.
Clearly.
And we are Screen Heroes, a weekly podcast from the Grid Daily. And if you missed last week's episode, that one got a little bit heated as we talked about Batman versus Superman.
Did it get heated?
Dawn of Justice.
Did it?
With our friend House of Turner cosplay.
House, because he's fancy.
He is fancy, H-A-U-S, fancy cosplayer. But this week, I guess we're still doing DC stuff, but we're going to be talking about the CW's Flash.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
I think so.
Cool. Well, before we start, I want to wish my fellow Trekkies a happy First Contact Day.
I want to tell everybody to get on Miitomo because it's so much fun and it digs up buried memories that you wish were dead.
We are, I think all of us, all four of us here anyway, because Nicole is helping us run the Twitch stream.
You might not be online. It says you're offline when I click stream.
We might not be
remember
online.
it's delayed.
There's a bit of a delay.
Or there's a severe delay.
We'll just keep recording and we'll see what happens. But we are all on Miitomo, so you can find us out there. I know that a few of us have posted our QR codes, so you can find us. So friend us and all that good stuff. But since we're recording this on Tuesday, April 5th, it is First Contact Day, and I'm very excited about that.
I went back to it.
So, because I wanted to wish everyone...
you can't have a successful podcast without mentioning Star Trek.
This
That
is
is
true.
very
Did I mention
true.
it last week?
Probably.
I don't know, but that's probably why you were so angry, because you didn't get your
That might be true.
Star Trek thing
It's
out.
true. All right,
Okay.
so... Okay, so anyway, so we'll talk about
Did
the
you guys
actual
think
topic.
Derek was angry last week? Sound off.
Did you hear him yell?
Did you hear him yell at me and point really angrily at me?
Excuse
No,
me.
I
I
don't
didn't hear him
think-
point.
Excuse me,
Yeah, I
guys.
was going to say, I don't think people heard him point.
I yelled at all of you.
We know.
That's a fair point.
I got
Actually, you didn't yell at
console-
Ian.
I got
That's true.
consolation hugs at the end.
I didn't.
Anyway, I guess we'll
So,
move on to this
Let's
week's
talk about
topic.
Flash.
Okay.
Now, I was going to put together an outline to keep you boys in order, but neither one of you could decide where you wanted to start.
It wouldn't have worked anyway.
Probably not.
We should start with when he gets hit by lightning.
Which time?
The time he gets powers.
Oh, okay.
The time in Arrow or the
No,
time in a
we're not
Flash?
going to
It's the
start
same
there.
time.
We are going to start at the beginning of season 2. But first, let's just flat out say it. I know you guys have answered the question on Miitomo, and I agree. This is the best superhero show on TV right now. Live action.
It might be my favorite live action superhero show that I've ever seen on TV.
You're
Why?
saying it's better than Smallville?
Yes.
Well, yes.
Why is that?
Well, for the Smallville part,
No.
Flash
For the
has
Flash.
his powers.
Yeah, he didn't just get teased for 5 years.
He became the Flash in the first season. In
Before the first season.
in the first episode.
Before that. Because he was on
Technically,
freaking Arrow.
He became the Flash in another show altogether.
Exactly.
Versus a guy who flies in the last scene of his 10-year show.
Okay,
All
anyway.
right, anyway. No, I love The Flash for so many reasons. It is fun, it's bright and lighthearted, it's exciting, it's a little gimmicky, but in a comic booky way. You know, they've been able
See,
to
my
pull
favorite
off...
part about that is anytime we're sitting there and we're watching it and I'm like, oh man, that was so cheesy. One of the characters calls it out as cheesy. And that's so exciting. I'm glad that they're aware of the material they have and know how to handle it. Because that is something I don't believe a lot of the other shows know what to do with yet. I think Supergirl's picking up on it, but they're still not there. Supergirl has the best yet to come. Flash is in its peak right now, and I can only see it getting better from here.
Well, to your point, the other day we were talking about Captain Cold and Wentworth Miller and how he's got the most puns of anybody in the show, even now on Legends of Tomorrow.
Well, until the bee lady showed up on Arrow, then I think she took the prize. But for now, yeah, Captain Cold.
Yeah. But every time he does one of those, he kind of gives this little smirk like he knows what he just did.
Yeah.
And I love that. It's that sense of awareness that it has. But I love that they've been able to do the multiverse. Earth 2. Multiple characters in different bodies playing different versions of themselves at different times in different realities.
It's really been a stretch for two characters at best, and that's Wells and Barry, because he's had to play different versions of himself that's like a day away from each other, and usually a day's worth of knowledge doesn't screw up the whole world, but sometimes it does. And, Tom Cavanaugh, it has just proven that he's a brilliant actor, and I'm so upset that none of his previous ventures have worked out the way this one has, because that man deserves an Oscar, in my opinion. Just... maybe not for the role.
I mean, maybe an Emmy.
Not the role for Wells, but he deserves to do something else. Switching back in this last one between Thawne and Wells was just beautiful to watch. It was really seamless. You knew.
Well, now he's a different Wells.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. And before Flash, I had only seen him in Scrubs, and he was hilarious, and I loved him in Scrubs. But I never thought that he had the acting ability.
You didn't see him in Yogi?
I did not see him
as the park ranger
in Yogi Bear.
Okay.
That's from Earth 3, according to the memes.
Right.
But I wasn't sure. I didn't know he had this type of acting ability, and he came in right off the bat and was fantastic. Mm-hmm. And now he's playing an alternate version of a character he was pretending to be in season 1, which is just, it's convoluted, but it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think the show, and you covered pretty much all of it, but yeah, the self-awareness, it's fun, especially when you're comparing it to Arrow now, which I might do that a lot, but I'll try to be nice. But yeah, Arrow has been, in its peak, it was a very dark show, and then even, it hasn't really gotten any lighter even when he's taken on the Green Arrow persona. This show is more, and Supergirl are kind of an escape compared to, Gotham and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and some of these other ones that are definitely a darker tone. Flash doesn't take itself seriously. It's very fun, and you're not going to be there was a few episodes when Barry's dealing with watching his mother die and not helping her. That was a little dark.
There
and
are
some other
very,
things,
very heavy moments. Watching Eddie shoot himself in the chest was pretty intense, because this whole time during the first season, I hated that character. I thought he was so useless, and I was like, man, just get rid of him, move him to a different city like they did Patty, because she was also useless. Sorry, John Holloway.
I actually liked Patty and Mary.
I actually like both of those characters quite a bit, and
I didn't
really care about Eddie, but yeah,
I like the dynamic that Eddie brought.
I don't know, with other characters, I think if you do their death well, if you're gonna kill off a character, give them something to die for. Make their death mean something. And that's what they did for Eddie.
Not really. I mean, they should have just had him shoot off his junk, and then he would have been fine. And he would have still lived.
Well, but he sacrificed his life.
Right, but he didn't have to, is what I'm saying. If he had thought about it a little closer.
The world was coming to an end here. He was feeling kind of pressured for time, I think.
Okay, well, it wouldn't have taken any more time. So I'm just saying that,
Look, he came to the realization that...
There's a character arc. I get that. But...
Okay. Here's a character that I believe died pointlessly, and based on his career, I don't think he really needed to, and that was Ronnie. I know they wanted to bring in Jefferson.
He's actually the most successful CW actor right now. He's been in a movie that he was a star in, and he's been in a lot of other stuff that. So I mean, I can see why
he was in The Duff. That was not a successful film.
It may not have been a successful film, but he was the lead actor in it. So I mean, that's a pretty.
He's been in a couple of things.
Don't think he's the most successful actor.
Stephen Amell would have been the only other one that's actually successful outside of the CW verse.
I think part of the problem was that you had the Flash show, which already had crossovers with Arrow and all of those characters. You now had Firestorm as a character in Central City with now his memories back with his, fiance, right? Why wouldn't he just always help Barry out? And then it doesn't become Flash anymore. Then it's Flash and Firestorm show, And so they needed a reason for Firestorm to leave, to not be around on a regular basis, and they were able to bring him back in Legends of Tomorrow, but they didn't want him being just around Central City all the time, because that's one of the biggest problems with, we always talk about after you do a big movie like an Avengers movie, right, and like in Thor: The Dark World, and London's being destroyed, like where is everybody, right? So where's Firestorm all the time? They had to get rid of him.
I just think that the way he died was a little stupid.
Yeah, I kind of agree, and I mean, I think that Robbie Amell was a better second half character,
Jefferson?
a more believable, I think, as the character. Yeah, Jefferson. I mean, that's Legends of Tomorrow, so it's a whole other show. But Jefferson, I mean, he doesn't have the same charisma, and I don't understand why he is the other half of Firestorm. Like it just like Ronnie kind of made sense. This one is just like, hey, let's get this other guy in there. And
all right, so we kind of discussed the deaths on Flash between Nora and
we missed one
Eddie.
very important death.
the turtle.
Thawne.
No, yes, those, yeah, but no. Now this is all
Jay.
spoilers, of course, but yeah, Jay
Well,
or one of the Jays.
let's talk about a few things before we get to that. We'll come back to the death of Jay.
We'll circle back to
Yeah.
the Jays.
But poor Caitlin Snow, she can't catch a break.
Yeah, if you want to defeat Zoom, just let her like sleep with him, and
Yeah.
magically Zoom will be defeated.
Within a
She
couple
kind of
episodes.
got with Zoom-ish.
I mean,
Zoom-ish.
ish, yeah.
I'm Zoom.
Spoiler
I'm
alert.
Zoom-ish.
Yeah. We'll get to
Anyway.
that now, Derek. Don't get over ahead of yourself.
I did call the Twitch stream Flash and Zoom, so I figured we'd be spending a lot of time
Amateur
talking
mistake.
And
about it.
we're going to.
He's the majority of season 2.
We're 10 minutes into this.
Okay.
10 minutes.
Okay.
Calm down, Derek. It's gonna be fine.
Okay.
We-
I'm good. Let's go.
Take a drink. You'll be okay.
We can't be too quiet. There's people who are just going to be listening. We have to say
Rehydrate.
something.
Oh yeah.
All right, so huge thing that I've noticed this season is the special effects budget has gotten bigger because they've been able to focus on characters such as, well,
King
not really
Shark.
focus, but
Yeah, King Shark was cool.
whoever thought you were going to see King Shark?
And a good one, like
Yeah.
on top of
An
that, on a
impressive
CW
one.
show.
Well, I mean, there were parts where Grodd was a little iffy,
yeah.
but for
And
the
there's
most part, he was really well done.
The newest, I think it was the newest episode, the one where Barry like went back in time to
That
hit
was-
himself.
yeah.
There was
a
like, that
couple
like
of
fight
moments.
scene with two of them was like,
Yeah.
Well, because keep in mind,
Barry looks like the
Overall-
Matrix Neo from
Yeah.
10 years
Overall,
ago.
it's been really good,
Yeah,
especially
I agree.
with Zoom. The blurring effects that they do on his mouth, the blue lightning, the way they make him go much faster, look like he's going much faster. I mean, the special effects have always been a bit high up there because the speed has just been incredible, and it's the most realistic I've seen. The speed, the Quicksilver in both Age of Ultron and Days of Future Past, neither of them really did it for me.
Right.
Now, I want to specify so listeners don't get mad. I was very impressed with Days of Future Past, but let's face it, he would have been time traveling during that.
Yeah,
Like
he's
he
basically stopping
stopped
time. Yeah.
Very little things were happening.
Well, and they've had some moments like that on this show too, where like Barry was talking to Iris and like running around in the first season. Remember that, where she was like sitting there? He's like, well, I can't tell you that I love you, but then I do love you. Like he's just like doing this thing, and it was, come on, Barry, that's ridiculous.
It was just one scene.
Yeah, but I mean they didn't do it again, so
yeah, and it
obviously
was
they
kind of that
learned.
cheesiness of the show.
Yeah.
And it is a CW show
Mm-hmm.
that makes the effects even that much more impressive because it's not a primetime network show.
Right.
And you look at a show like Arrow, which doesn't really need a lot of CGI-driven effects on a regular basis. All of its effects are more of choreography and explosions.
Shooting
Right.
arrows into the sky, magically being able to grapple onto the sky. Yes.
Well,
There's
he's
a lot of that.
installed special hooks.
Apparently. Yeah.
While
There's
he was
so
on the
many
island.
special hooks in the sky.
That's what happens in this
So
fifth
he
year
got
on
it
the
from
island.
Spider-Man.
He spent the entire year installing hooks all over Star City.
That makes sense. We'll get that in the season 5 flashbacks.
Yes. Yeah. And that's all it is, just him installing hooks.
It's gonna get
Oh my
really
God.
boring, but gotta do it.
Wow, that's awful.
Yeah, but anyway, the special effects have been really good.
King Shark was the one that impressed me the most because
He was great.
The first time you see him at the end of that episode where he's grabbing Barry's head, that looked like, call me stupid if you don't agree with me, listeners, but I think that was
Oh, they
like a
will.
movie, nearly movie level, if not. It was better than a lot of the CG in like The Hobbit, I think.
Well,
And
yes.
some other movies. So I feel like that was movie level, and granted it was only 20 seconds or something, but that was awesome. And then they did almost a whole episode, and granted you only saw King Shark for like 3 minutes of it, but a whole episode about him. And then Garrod, they did the whole Gorilla City or whatever that and that was only 20 seconds.
But
or
it
something.
all looked really good.
Yes.
They're
And
taking
you could
big
tell
chances.
that they're going to revisit Gorilla City.
That's the plan,
very
you would
soon.
imagine.
Yeah.
I would hope that's either season 3 or, hopefully they don't
Season
push
3
it
is
off
going
to
to be Mirror
season
Master.
4.
Crossing my fingers.
I would
so
imagine they're going
cool.
to save somebody like that for the movie.
And I want
no,
Alexis
don't
Denisoff
curse
to
it.
do it because he did such a great job voicing him in Doom that I would love to see him come back. And I know you don't recognize actors' names, but he plays Sandy in How I Met Your Mother. Sandy Rivers.
Oh, great. That would be funny. He's a little, I don't know, he might be a little old.
Why? Reverse Flash is the exact same age.
There's a little bit of a difference there because in this timeline, Reverse Flash comes back in time to help a young Flash gain his speed versus being a in-time nemesis.
I don't know. I think Mirror Master could be fine as an older character. I don't think he has
he's
to
not
be
like a
age
super
comparable.
agile character in
No,
general.
I know. I would imagine that you kind of keep the rogues gallery kind of.
I don't know. It's not necessary for me. I liked the way he voiced it, maybe because you haven't seen Doom yet.
No, it's not a voicing. Look, I think
No.
Kevin Conroy's got the best Batman voice, but I think he's probably a little too old to play most of the Batman that he voices.
I would hate to see him in that outfit.
Yeah, it wouldn't be.
You know, it's not an insult by any means to say I'm not sure he would fit in the live action version. Obviously,
We'll see.
voice work is very complicated.
We'll see. I don't know. Anyway, so a huge part of season 2 has been the multiverse. What have you guys thought about the Earth 2 doppelgangers? Who is your
So
favorite
much fun.
so
Well,
far?
first of all, Earth 2, all you gotta do is put a sepia filter on something and magically it's Earth 2. So
Well, they have to do something.
I know,
It's
to
very much.
distinguish it,
It's very
right.
much what like Fox did for Fringe when Fringe had the episodes going back and forth between the two universes. You always knew when you were in the other universe because they just show you a blimp.
what do you think Earth 3 Earth 3 is gonna be? What filter? What Instagram
Black
filter are we
and
gonna
white.
put on there you go, noir Earth.
But I love Earth too. The fact that they were even going to do it, I thought was
It's
just so
pretty
risky
ballsy.
and awesome.
Yeah.
And then they did it so well. It's so much fun, and you could tell they had a great time.
Right from the beginning, yeah, you had Cisco and Barry like taking a selfie with the
Yeah.
sign at the police station
yeah,
or whatever. Yeah,
like even they're like, "This is great." you
Yeah.
know? Killer Frost.
Killer Frost
I
is
did
your
not
favorite?
like Killer Frost.
She was my
Okay,
favorite.
well, you tell me why, and then you rebut.
I liked seeing Caitlin's character because I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on her name all of a sudden. I was excited to see her kind of stretch her legs a little bit because a lot of the time she's kind of stuck in that very scientific role. She like is never outside and she's basically stuck in the lab.
That's why she's
Right.
so pale.
And so as Killer Frost, she got to do some cool things. She got to be a very different personality and be out in the action and, you know, really be part of those conversations and this and the exciting parts of the plot. And she usually doesn't get that.
Okay. How about you?
Well, I thought she was kind of boring as a villain. I don't really. She's not really a character I like in general in the show anyway. She does fine, but the actress is not really doesn't bring anything to that role that I don't think any other actress could bring to that role. And I mean, on top of that, this is out of her control. But I mean, the costume I didn't think was that impressive. Like you're wearing a corset and like blue contacts, and that's your superhero costume.
She
I don't
was a
think Killer
villain.
Frost has ever been that complex. Anyway.
Usually, it seems like she has like icicles on her hands and like
In some of the cartoons, she will do that when she's like ready to fight somebody, you know. But
She was really good looking in Young Justice season
Yes,
1.
she
I
was.
love the way she looked.
And I probably know her the best from that because
Young
I-
Justice is a little unique compared
It
to
is.
Maybe so, but
It
that's
really
because being
is.
that's the Killer Frost I knew
Yeah.
most of. I was kind of expecting something
That's
better.
the promo photo,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then which she still didn't really look like that. And then that's Killer Frost from Arkham City.
yeah. Which I thought even that would be cooler.
I mean, I liked the costume. I thought it fit the tone of the show. I think that if you do the one from Arkham, you know,
That's the
you start
comics.
getting very
And that's
comic booky.
pretty awesome.
Yeah, but they're not. I don't think the CW is going to have a costume that looks like that.
Maybe
in all
not,
fairness, the X-Men movies didn't have the
That's
budget
true.
for that till the last one, till the third movie.
Yeah.
Well, because when you think about, if you look at all these live action shows, I mean, there aren't really a lot of characters that have the comic book spandex painted on styles costumes.
That's very true.
You know, so I don't think they ever would have done that for her. Just like they're not going to do that for really anybody else.
I agree.
I just don't. I think that like a corset is not a costume.
Okay,
But
so
no one. I'm also not saying. I'm not saying that she's got her frost cave and it is a costume per se. That's the outfit she wears when they met her. You know.
So who is your favorite doppelganger?
I think I like Reverb the most. He was an interesting opposite. I think the guy that plays
Plays
Cisco is a good actor, and I think he brings something to the role that I don't know that there's a lot of actors that could bring that to the role. And I think they've played that up through the writing for him. So seeing him in a almost complete like alpha dog scenario versus when he's usually the guy that's like, hey guys, I'm just gonna hang back here, was a cool.
The fact
difference.
that he wanted to take over Zoom was pretty intense.
And his powers were done very well. I mean,
I agree.
if you're not a fan of the comics, you don't know what powers Vibe has. So being able to see him actually stretch those powers out, and
he was very good. I do love the actor as well. I think he's having a lot of fun with both roles, and I think that they've even in Earth 1 they've started to stretch him a bit and allow him to be a little more involved. But he's just fun.
Yeah. I think he kind of plays the audience all the time. Like, and he's the one that says that's cheesy, or like,
he comes up with the corny names.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he's playing the part of us, and that's what a normal person would react in those scenarios. Plus, he's always wearing the nerdy shirts, and
always.
It's I don't know, it's easy to relate to for somebody like us, or like me at least.
So my favorite was Linda Park's doppelganger with the light.
Oh,
I thought that was really cool. I don't
cool.
remember what she called herself. I know it wasn't Dr. Light. I remember that. He's another bad guy. Hopefully we see him on like Arrow. He would go really well in that. But no, I thought it was really good because they're one of the few times where the doppelgangers came close.
Yeah.
And this was still the beginning of the season, so we didn't quite know Zoom's plan yet. We knew he was sending over people. This was the first time we had seen an Earth 2 doppelganger, and her powers were just pretty incredible to see.
They did do a good job.
Yeah,
of
the
showing
special
the
effects were really good. The costume was fun.
Yeah, the costume was cool. It was creative.
It was
It
fun,
was not super complicated, but at least it looked cool.
The actress also did a great job of playing dual roles, playing the intimidated and weak and like kind of what is going on versus the I'm doing this because I have to.
I felt like her character was a little bit different because she wasn't like evil, so to speak. She was being manipulated.
Well, she's a bank robber. There's a huge difference between a bank robber and a murderer.
Right,
like,
but you look at the other doppelgangers, and you have Reverb and Killer Frost and Deathstorm. They're all bad guys.
Yeah.
They're super villains, basically. She wasn't.
Yeah.
She was more like Captain Cold, where, she steals stuff, but she's kind of got a code, and she doesn't really want to hurt anybody who's not going to get in her way, and,
That's pretty serious, so... any doppelgangers you guys didn't like so far?
I felt like Earth 2 Barry was a little annoying.
But Earth 2 Iris complimented that by being a badass.
That couple there was, I think, what worked for me, rather than, yes, Barry was annoying. Yes, Iris is a little overbearing, but, I mean, together it was a lot better. That's the only reason those characters worked for me, I think.
Yeah.
I did really like Joe.
He was fun.
It was great seeing him sing because I had forgotten that he can, like, professionally.
I joke. Every time I watch him, I'm like, he was in Rent. He was in Rent. He was in Rent.
I always forget that, though, because it's been so long. So watching him, like, that was really cool. I like that.
Yeah, I agree. That
was
awesome.
Such a good voice. So that was a fun one. Did you guys see the video that he and the guy who plays Eddie and the guy who plays Cisco all did?
In season 1.
Yeah.
Where they were
I think I missed that one.
They did. They sang the theme song to Firefly.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
This was like midway through season 1, I think.
Yeah.
They did that,
They were just goofing around, and it was right after Age of Ultron. A drama started coming, and Joss was having a mental breakdown. So they were all singing it, and then at the end they were all like, "Thank you, Joss."
That's
and
cool.
They did a really great job. We'll have to go watch it after this because it's fun.
No,
and they're
that's
all really
great.
talented. Like, it sounded good. They should make their own boy band.
So was there anybody in Earth 2 that like a doppelganger that you wanted to see? Because I have one in mind.
Me too.
All right, what?
Oliver Queen's father as the Hood. Because they referenced that
That's interesting.
in the news when I think it was when they first get to
Yeah.
Earth 2, or one of the earlier episodes where they showed something happen in Earth 2. They reference his father being the Hood there.
He's the one
and
who
that
survived.
He uses their bow and arrow and everything else. Yeah, I would have loved to have seen more about that. I thought that would have been an interesting. Obviously, it's a page out of the Flashpoint Paradox books or comic book.
But that's okay though.
It's Flash. I mean, it's
and like it's really cool, especially like if you haven't read it or there's an animated movie too, and you get Thomas Wayne Batman, and it's awesome.
Yeah, and I mean,
How about you?
yeah.
So for me, it's Wally West I kind of want to see him as a speedster, and my thought was if they're not going to do it in the main timeline, but they haven't yet, so maybe he is the Flash in Earth 2.
Well, we knew Jay Garrick was the Flash in Earth 2.
We knew that Jay Garrick was a Flash in Earth 2.
Now we're not quite sure.
Keep in mind that before the multiverse was like this big thing, there were lots of Flashes in DC comic books that all kind of work together. I mean, if you watch Young Justice, you know that, right? So Wally West can exist in the same world as Jay Garrick, and since Jay Garrick's powers were kind of iffy, maybe Wally West is somewhere out there.
So I know they're not going to do this just because of the span of the show and who they're currently working with. But I think it'd be cool to see Ray Palmer show up in Earth 2 and see if he became the Atom, or maybe he became the Giant or something instead. Like,
what do you think he'd be good at doing? I mean,
Superman.
Brandon Routh.
Please, that'd be great.
Or his character from Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh, that'd be
the vegan powers.
That's Earth 4.
Yeah.
Scott Pilgrim is in this universe.
Right.
He's in the multiverse.
So the multiverse gets kind of complicated because DC Entertainment has officially said that the movie universe is one universe. Yeah. It's all multiverse stuff.
Everything on the screen is a multiverse.
Right, so you have the CW universe, then you have Earth 2, which is also CW, then you have Supergirl's universe, which is not Earth 1 or 2, it's something else, then you have the movie universe, and then you have Gotham.
Well, you also have DC Animated, too. What's up? Lots of Grodd discussion in the chat.
What are they saying about Grodd?
Let's talk Grodd.
Let's go Grodd.
Let's get some examples.
Just to, get a more interesting topic, apparently.
Oh,
okay.
Sorry we weren't pleasing you.
No, we got this. Grodd, let's do it. Monkeys.
So, just to embarrass Lee Parzival, apparently he's super afraid of apes. Because they're strong and they're scary. So Grodd being Grodd makes it even worse.
That works.
Poor
But
bastard.
the discussion came back to Grodd because apparently Grodd's all you really care about. But they want to know about the fight of Killer Shark versus Grodd.
Who would win?
King Shark.
Who would win? How'd it go?
Grodd would win that
Grodd
fight.
wins.
I'd go for King Shark.
Come on, Grodd would be stronger.
If King Shark can get him in the water, he could maybe take him down.
Yeah, which obviously Central City has a big water next to it, so
Apparently,
I don't think Grodd's going to let it get there.
Central City is on the coast.
Right. Yeah,
it's next to
Coast City.
It's next to Coast City.
Oh, yeah.
Barry runs there for pizza, remember?
Here,
That's right. That doesn't mean
here is
anything.
what bothers me, people. In the comics, Central City and
This is not talking about Grodd.
Keystone City is Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas City, Kansas. That's what it is. Keystone and Central. In the Central.
Not in this Earth.
No.
But also,
Anyway,
Gotham
Grodd.
and Metropolis aren't next to each other either.
I definitely.
No, they are not split up by a bay. They're split up by a few states.
But to be fair, though, that
Hate
does
this.
explain things a lot better because I felt like they visit each other a lot.
Anyway, Grodd. He's a giant ape.
Yeah, I think he would be able to take King Shark for a few different reasons. Apes are incredibly strong, right? You have to imagine the amount of strength that he has.
Because great white sharks aren't very strong at all.
But sharks don't normally have arms and legs, right? Whereas Grodd can do the same with his legs that he can do with his arms. I mean, he can hold Killer Shark down while he kicks him or punches him or whatever, where King Shark, really, his mouth is still his primary weapon.
Yeah.
So, you're right.
Which is much more deadly than a punch.
I agree with that, but I think that Grodd still has the edge in a fight.
I would say that the only reason that Grodd has an edge is because he's super intelligent.
I agree.
Oh, absolutely.
If
That's a huge part of it.
Yeah, it is. And that is
intelligence beats out a lot. Batman can take out a lot of people just simply because they're dumber than him.
But people are really smart compared to great white sharks, and great white sharks still kill the heck out of people.
No, they don't.
There are
10 people a year.
Right.
Well, I'm saying that humans are kind of close to gorillas, and sharks...
More people fall into fountains while texting.
More people...
Maybe so, but most great white sharks don't freaking walk on land and bite people and pick them up by the head.
Here's why Grodd will always, 9 out of 10 times, beats King Shark. It's because Grodd is a good enough character to be the main villain in Season 3, whereas King Shark's good enough to show up for 40 seconds of 2 episodes. That is why.
And one was a teaser.
That is why.
No, it's
got his own episode.
He was
one
at
of
the
the
beginning of one, and he was at the end of one, and they talked about him.
I think that's a fair point.
No?
Oh, no.
You're
She was
racing? Okay.
No, it's a fair point. You can kind of tell that from certain villains, right? Damien Dark has had like an entire season arc on Arrow, but
Has he though?
I don't want to talk about it.
It's been really bad.
I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, moving back to Flash. Anything else on Grodd you guys want to
Can
talk about?
we go back to the multiverse, you
All
guys?
right.
Can we, please? It's way more interesting.
So anyway, so like
Survive, yeah.
Okay.
so like we were saying, all of these DC properties all exist in the multiverse,
So there's 6
which
of
is
them
pretty
right
cool.
now.
I'm excited about that. I think that's pretty neat. But the interesting thing is that they can kind of do whatever they want in each one of these universes.
Right.
So how does that make you guys feel that you're going to see Barry Allen in 2 completely different universes, 2 different Earths, where he's the Flash in both of them?
I'm okay with that. I'm less okay with seeing other characters double up, because we're going to get that soon too. There will be way more crossovers the more successful everything goes. We're going to see, rumor is, another Black Canary in the DCEU.
Well, Katie Cassidy.
No. I'm not talking about that. Like, the rumor is Black Canary is supposed to show up in the Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to
Sorry.
get
Okay.
a film one as well as a screen one.
Gotcha.
Big screens.
Well, I was going to say, for those who don't know, Katie Cassidy was cast in Flash to be Earth 2 Black Siren.
That's going to be really cool.
And she's also
what
supposed
a cool name.
Yeah, she's also supposed to show up in the Vixen web series on
Shut up.
CW Seed.
It's because I'm Siren.
Yeah,
So-
I get it.
Anyway, I just
You
for
were
those
heavy-handed
for
with
those
that
for
thought.
those who weren't aware of that, but
Yeah, because Buster's Props isn't heavy-handed with your favorite fandom.
I don't know. I'm excited to see a lot of that crossover, though. For example, I'm really hoping that at some point Supergirl shows us a Superman, and I mean, it'd be
I agree.
amazing to me if that was Tom Welling. I know it probably won't be, but that'd be pretty incredible.
What if it was cool that we found out that Smallville took place in the same universe, not as Supergirl,
Oh.
sorry, sweetie, but as Gotham? Because it started out being kids growing up.
I mean, that's possible. There's no conflict there.
I don't know.
See, it's a little bit off subject, but I would not be excited to see Superman and Supergirl at all. I think that takes away from Supergirl. If Superman could just show up and fix the problem
He
for
can't,
her.
but here's the thing: we already know he exists, so he obviously just can't show up whenever he wants
Because
to.
the show's called Supergirl, of course he can't.
But it doesn't mean they can never meet up. They meet up in the comic books multiple times.
Sure, but in a show it's a little different.
I think it would be awesome
think it
if he
undermines
showed up a
character
couple
Supergirl a little
times.
bit.
If he showed up, I don't want him to be the season finale because I want her to stand on her own. But it would be cool if he showed up near the end. If we just saw his face, like maybe not even in anything specific. Maybe in like one of James Olsen's old photos or
Well, you
something.
know what it's going to be is that they're going to, in order to not undermine Supergirl, they would make it so that Superman was in some situation that he was trapped.
No,
so
I-
she would have to go save him.
I don't
And then
even
it's
think it
like,
needs to
okay,
be-
you're cheapening Superman by doing that.
I don't even think it needs to be an action sequence. I think
think
they could
so.
have a mid-season finale in season 2 where she's having some type of moral or ethical issue.
could just keep emailing
that she
him.
talks to her. But
I love
maybe
that.
they find
I love that they communicate
I think
like
it's
that.
better than
but
having him on
it
the
makes
show.
sense for them to meet at some point. They are family. They meet in the comic books, and I think that they could do something there's no fight. This is something's personal that's going on, and she wants the advice of her now big cousin. So they go and they meet, and maybe it's at the Fortress of Solitude, or maybe they're chilling on a rooftop somewhere, right? They can do that without undermining her character.
It would be really cool if she visited Metropolis.
Sure, you have them meet, on the Daily Planet building or something like
Yeah.
that. There's nothing.
Having her in his city is a lot cooler than having him in her city because it looks like you have to follow his character too. Whereas if you follow her with it, you are traveling with her. You are following her story. So
I think it would be
But-
cool. I mean, she asked Barry Allen for help during
Yeah.
the crossover
and it didn't
episode.
undermine her at all.
Yeah, but it was an amazing team up. I mean, for those of you who haven't seen that episode was
But
fun.
but the difference between that is that you know that Barry Allen can't just go to that every time there's an issue. Superman
Right.
can just show up every time there's an issue.
But we know that he can't
Well,
because he hasn't, right?
Because the show's called Supergirl.
But they've already made it clear, though, that he exists, that she talks to him on a regular basis. He even gives her advice. They've already cemented that in the universe. So to say that they're never allowed to physically meet because that undermines her, I don't think that's fair.
I think just the way the show is based, it's different in the comic books.
Sure.
In a show, I don't know. We're way off topic. but
Okay, we'll go back
we'll
to the
agree to
Flash.
disagree on that.
So segue. Let's talk about the crossover.
I know you had some strong opinions about it, Derek.
The
Supergirl and Flash crossover.
Oh, there was some poor dialogue writing in the episode. I do want to say that.
Aside from the villains,
yeah,
the villains were terrible. Silver Banshee and Livewire.
Yeah, they picked the two worst villains ever.
Well,
but they're just written really poorly.
Right.
The actual characters are really good.
Their powers,
their motivations are bad.
Right, but I think the
their
actors
powers
were
are awesome, and the actors could have been good. I think the costumes are absolutely horrible. Horrible. Do not cosplay those characters. Cough, cough, Sabrina.
Okay, well, anyway.
The costumes are terrible. The dialogue written for them is terrible. Like you said, the motivations for those villains were just awful. But that wasn't the star. Supergirl and Flash working together was the star. And I shipped them so much. They need to date.
I loved Kat's CW joke.
Yes!
I thought that was so awesome.
Yeah. And I think I really liked, probably my favorite part of it was the scene where Barry decides to show Jimmy Olsen and the other kid, I can't remember his name, the power, and he runs and gets ice cream and comes back, and she's like, yes! And she's just really excited about the ice cream. I thought that was really
She's
great.
like, do you want to go get donuts?
Yeah, exactly. That was
I
pretty
need
good.
to eat a lot. Like,
James is so jealous in that episode.
It was so good.
And I kind of liked him not being the cool suave guy for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I love the character of James Olsen in the show, and I love the actor. It was nice to see him off balance for a minute. But
it brings new light to his character.
Yeah. But I thought the episode was just tons of fun. I mean, their dynamic was great. Obviously, Flash and Supergirl, the two actors, they've worked together before on Glee, so they know each other and things like that. But there
was a lot of chemistry. I thought it was a lot of fun. I wish it had been better villains. I wish the writing had been a little bit better, but the chemistry was there. And
it would have been great to see them actually go up against the Kryptonians.
I agree.
But the thing is, the story didn't work for it. They would have had to finagle.
It would have affected the whole story arc, and it would have kind of undermined part of the season if Barry could just show up and like punch them all with
And the thing is, having
2
villains versus 2 heroes looks better for everybody involved.
Yeah. Except that Barry knows Black Canary, and he's basically fighting a less cool version of Black Canary. So come on. But he should know how to get around that.
It was fun. I like that, again, Kat figured out who the identity was within 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I like that they keep giving her that ability, Yeah. She's like, you're the Flash. We all know you're the Flash.
She's
Let's move on.
a really good journalist, and she doesn't need to
Except for finding out who Supergirl is, apparently.
But she did figure it out, and then they got Jean.
Except now she figured it out, or now she thinks that she's not. So.
Well, I mean, look, when you actually had the two in the same room with you that were interacting, she's still like a rational human being. At that point, she must have been like, oh, that's so weird.
Why did she think Speed Mirage? I mean, come on, they've already shown us in the Flash.
But she doesn't know what a Speed Mirage is.
Anyway,
she's not that good of a journalist.
So
watch the Flash.
Here's one thing about the Flash that we're all excited about: the fact that they have so many speedsters.
So many speedsters.
My favorite part about all of it is he keeps calling himself the fastest man alive, and
he didn't for a little while.
And he's like third fast.
in the first season on that intro, a couple of times he said, "I am not the fastest man alive."
Yeah, a couple of times.
Because even toward the end,
Thawne is faster, Zoom is faster, and Jesse Quick was faster. Trajectory, excuse me.
Not Jesse Quick.
Sorry. Trajectory was faster when she was still in human form.
Right.
So
she transformed into a beetle. Sorry.
So she's like, so Barry's at least 4th fastest, like at best he's 4th fastest. He's faster than the Jay Garrick was before he died, right? But that's it. That's the only guy he's ever been faster than. That was a speedster.
So they've hinted at other characters who become speedsters, and that has been both Jesse, who is Harrison Wells, and we're just jumping.
No, she's Harrison Wells' daughter.
Right. Sorry.
Not Harrison Wells.
Yeah, those are 3 Harrison Wells. Jesse Quick.
My thought has jumped like ahead of my mouth, so sorry about that. So we're assuming she is Jesse Quick based on the fact that she is named Jesse.
And she got injected with
Velocity 9. So
and she's on a show with a lot of speedsters.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's Wally West, and Wally West
likes to drive really fast.
Yes, no coincidence. And he likes to develop jet engines, and again, no coincidence.
So, do you think there's going to be an accident with his school project jet engine that gives him powers?
Probably.
Yes! Yes! And I hope he's driving a really fast car so his power is the jet engine plus NOS. Like, that needs to happen.
So much for Velocity 9.
Now, I may be in the minority here, but I'm actually kind of sick of speedsters on the show. Like, I mean, Flash is great, but when you're constantly having people that are faster than him, it's like, I mean, come on.
First
He beats
of all,
the turtle by just be like, I need to go faster. It's like, okay.
Well, I like the turtle
guys.
because the turtle's basically the exact opposite of what Flash is.
Literally
so I was
the
cool
exact
with
opposite.
that. But you're right. There's having Speedster after, like, first 2 seasons, 2 big baddies are Speedsters.
Yeah.
And that does get a little bit
And they're
hard.
both his mentors.
Right.
You know,
they
it's
got to do
just,
something else.
You know,
so, like,
come on.
letting Captain Cold move out of the show to Legends of Tomorrow, I think, hurt his regular villain cast. And, you know, so who else are you going to bring?
But
Mirror
that's why
Master
we need Mirror
And
Master.
Grodd.
and Grodd. But
Yeah.
he can't fight Grodd all the time because Grodd's almost a Justice League level villain a lot of the times.
Especially when he has a whole bunch of other gorillas.
When he's in Gorilla City
Right?
and they're intelligent apes, and they formed an ape society at one point, and there's like 6 different DC apes that were just destroying the Justice League.
So having Grodd around too much is also bad for the Flash. You need guys like Mirror Master. You need his rogues gallery, right? So why haven't we seen Mirror Master yet? Are they waiting for him?
I think
or
he's
is he
like
on hold for the
he's like
movies?
a full season villain. I feel
I
like.
also think we need to see an Earth 1 version of Killer Frost. She's a really cool character. I don't care if she's Caitlin Snow or not. You don't have to make his best friend a bad guy. Make it somebody else. But she is a big enough villain with good
Agreed.
enough powers to stick around and be the big bad.
Yeah.
We have not seen a CW show with a female big bad since Supernatural did Lilith.
You have the Bee Lady
In season
on Arrow.
5.
What are you talking about?
Oh my gosh.
Be quiet, Derek.
For those of you who aren't caught up in Arrow, you're going to be so disappointed.
Yes. And they're gonna look at the camera every time they make a bee joke.
No, I think you're right. I think that would be really cool to see. I think, unfortunately, them doing Killer Frost in Earth 2 might have ruined that chance.
Yeah,
which
I
is
agree.
unfortunate. Which is why, anyone who listens to us a lot, you know that I thought they were going to make her a good Frost, let's just be like Frost, not Killer Frost.
Yeah.
Right. To give her some powers and give her that role more or
But
less. But they didn't do it.
The problem with that is you get a cool hero character that can stand beside these other characters. They get shipped off to
Then she has to
Legends
go.
of Tomorrow.
Well, here's the problem. Look at Arrow. We've talked about it a little bit, but you got the main character, right? And in season 1 and 2, he was awesome. He was kicking people's butts constantly. He was shooting arrows all the time. Now you've got him. You've got Speedy. You've got Black Canary. You've got Black Driver. You've got all these
Arsenal.
guys. And yeah, Arsenal. You had him for a while.
Black Driver
Overwatch.
is
Overwatch.
It's
And so, I mean,
Diggle, by
but
the
look at
way.
what happened to Oliver when all that happened. Now Oliver is like, he's getting
Oliver's
his butt kicked by a random thug, and it's,
awful.
they've had to...
I thought Diggle's codename was Spartan.
It is. I'm just being
A dick.
facetious.
Okay.
But yeah, he seems like he's, what is he? You
And
know?
they're also setting up for Mr. Terrific to come in. And Mr.
Next
Terrific,
season.
He actually just got promoted to season regular.
Well,
Yeah.
you guys aren't caught up, so I'm not
So-
going to spoil that new episode. But he has a lot of involvement in the later episodes.
I mean, and that would be really cool to see.
because he has incredibly cool powers in the comics that have nothing to do with people shooting arrows.
But all of these things added up have lessened Oliver as a character. So if they have
do you think all these speedsters or
all his team having powers is going to be the issue. He's going to have, if they keep going that route. I mean, you're going to have, you already have
Cisco's
Vibe,
going to get more powerful?
obviously, and he's very powerful in the comic books. He's a Justice Leaguer. And if you give
Sometimes.
sometimes,
He's
not all the
still
time.
D
Not a
team.
founding member or anything.
He's still D team.
But you know, if you have Caitlin have powers, and you have Jesse Quick having powers, and you have Wally West having powers. I mean, what are we gonna give Joe powers next? Magic Detective powers, or what are we gonna do?
He's going to be Batman.
Joe
Yes.
could be a fantastic Batman.
Earth 4 Batman.
I need
But
that.
I just don't. I love the Flash right now, and I'm worried that it's going to go the same route of Arrow by its season 4 by surrounding itself because
Which
they
is
know
why
people want
I
to
think
have all
having
these.
a different character completely become Killer Frost would be badass.
As a villain, not as somebody on Flash's
I don't
team.
think
Just
Flash...
because I want a female to be the big bad, for one, and two, I want somebody who doesn't have speed powers to go up against him.
Yeah.
No, that would be cool.
That's
I
a
agree.
huge complaint that people have with the Marvel movies, is you recycle the formula of matching the hero with the villain and having very, very similar powers.
And almost every villain he's beaten
time.
just by going faster, like needing to go faster. Like I want to see him in season 1. We got a lot of like the CSI scientist Barry.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't gotten that
in a long
at
time.
all since then.
But
so.
I think Flash can avoid the Arrow situation a bit because Oliver was set up as like this hardcore guy from the get-go. Like, he was the baddest of the bad and could take on anybody from the beginning. Whereas Barry has stumbled a lot in the first two
Barry
seasons.
has superpowers and Arrow does not. So I think
but
they had to do that.
My point is more of just we're seeing Barry get better over time, whereas we've seen Arrow get worse over time.
Because of the people he surrounds himself with.
Right, but I think with Flash, it's a little bit different of a situation because he's never been the solo, I can take on the world on my own, whereas Arrow had that for the first season.
Well, I think it's the issue right now is that they know that fans love all these other characters.
Yeah.
Like, we got Adam from Arrow, and that was awesome, and he's now in the Legends of Tomorrow, and he's great in that.
Better parts.
And, we had Captain Cold and Flash, and he got shipped off to that, and White Canary White Canary got shipped off to
the better
Legends.
of the canaries.
Gray Canary?
I don't know, I actually like Laurel Canary now.
She's like Gray Canary.
I'm calling her Dirty Canary because her costume just looks like it's covered in dust.
It's never been
costume,
white, but it's never been
It's
white.
never been clean.
It's been light.
It has never been clean. That's the part. They made it out of dirty car leather.
But Legends of Tomorrow gave them the out, though. They're able to ship off the characters that the audiences
doing
love.
But it's cheapening
Like
the shows by
Constantine.
introducing all these characters on that show and then immediately shipping them out because they're going to be on Legends of Tomorrow. Why not just introduce them some other way in Legends,
Well, but I don't think it cheapens the
Hawks
shows.
the way
the entire
did was
first half of
very
these seasons was
disappointing.
setting that up.
I know, but that's because they were launching the show. But now, keep in mind, like, the Constantine episode of Arrow, for example, was a really great way to set up that character in the CW universe, and he's rumored to be in Season 2 of Legends of Tomorrow. You couldn't have really done that in a better way.
But he only had one episode. Same with Barry. When Barry was in the episode in that season, he had 2 episodes. Like,
I don't like the way they introduced the Hawks in Flash.
I
I
don't
really,
either.
really liked both Hawks for 2 completely different reasons. They hired great actors to embody them. They gave them a decent backstory. But the way they introduced them seemed rushed. Like they had to get extra characters for Legends of Tomorrow when they could have introduced them in Legends of Tomorrow.
I just didn't like that they spent the whole first half of both shows' seasons fleshing out the characters for Legends of Tomorrow. And the rumor is that it's probably going to be all new characters next season. So
Not all new.
A lot of new characters.
Well, yeah,
so are they going to spend season 5
Ray is
doing
supposed to stay on. Because he's supposed to be kind of the cornerstone of the show. Now, I know that the 2 Prison Break guys are leaving because Prison Break is coming back.
Right.
So they're gone, which is unfortunate because I actually really
they'll
like
be in
Wentworth
1 or
Miller's.
2 episodes of Flash again.
Probably. I really like Wentworth Miller's Captain Cold. I know it's a little corny, but I think he's great. All right, look, we got like 15 minutes left.
So let's talk about Jay Garrick, Hunter Solomon times 4.
The Zooms.
The
Zoom family.
Zoom.
So for those of you who are caught up, great. If you're not, of course, we've been talking lots of spoilers. So there's like 4 different Jay Garricks.
No, there's 2 different Jay Garricks and 2 different Hunter Solomons.
So here's
Here's
our theory. There's 2 of the same guy on each Earth, and they're not actually the same guy. They were twins. They were separated at birth.
If you remember that episode of The Flash where Jay showed the Earth 1 doppelganger, that's who we're talking about.
So here's my theory. Yes, there's the Earth 1 doppelganger. Well, you know that Jay was looking for his doppelganger.
Right.
He could not find his doppelganger, but he found somebody named Hunter Solomon. The reason he couldn't find his doppelganger is because that Jay Garrick was on Earth 2 in the Metal Mask. And so he could only find Hunter Solomon. Well, now you find out that the Zoom on Earth 2 is probably Hunter Solomon because he's the only one that hasn't been accounted for. The Earth 2 Jay got killed. The Earth 1 Jay is probably the guy in the Metal Mask, not confirmed.
Yeah.
So if that's true, why is Zoom upset at killing a Jay Garrick that is really his enemy?
I imagine that he wasn't in... that it was never in the plan to kill him.
Right. Well, I think
Just keep him locked up in a dungeon?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe
but to what
his
end?
whole point is to like he's
She's
usurping
writing
speed
agendas.
from speedsters. So
Sure.
So the more speedsters that are around to take that from,
But Jay had already
the
lost
better.
all of his speed.
But he was taking velocity 9. He'd obviously had some speed.
So
Something was
So
happening.
you're saying he's not upset that he killed Jay Garrick. He's upset that he killed
A speedster.
a potential speedster.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Twins rule from Dogsthorpe.
They're all right.
Okay, so that's an interesting way to look at it, because my problem was if Zoom is not a Jay Garrick from either a different timeline or a different reality, then it wasn't making sense to me that he would care.
Right.
But that's an interesting. So you're saying that he was gonna give him speed somehow.
Well, he knows that that Jay, because he's obviously familiar with him. They're both from Earth 2.
Yeah.
That Jay was a scientist capable of making something like that. He had used something like that in the past.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
I feel like he knew
So this is
that
the scientist go make me this velocity.
either that
10.
or he knew that was helping Barry and Barry's team to make the stuff that
Yeah.
he needed, because obviously he had been dealing with Harrison Wells from Earth 2, Harry.
Right.
And he knows that they had worked together for a little while and he had gotten some of that speed. So
were either of you disappointed that it was Jay when he
Kind
took
of.
off the helmet? I was too. Because our original podcast, we did one almost about 6 months ago.
It was a while ago. Yeah.
And we all predicted it was a dad of some sort, that it was John Wesley
I
Shipp's
thought
character.
I think we
That's
all
what it's
thought
gonna
it was
be.
going to be.
And
John
then
Wesley Shipp.
I actually thought it was going to be Joe West.
Either one
we
of
were all
those
going-
would have been better in my opinion. Now, of course, we haven't seen the arc play out yet, so maybe they have a really great idea. But I wanted it to be one of those two guys.
I agree. I thought it would have been more poignant if he had to defeat somebody who was incredibly important to him. Looking at the face of your enemy and knowing that in another world it's also the face of your mentor.
and we know that Barry has struggled with that from his time on Earth 2.
Well, watching Joe West die on Earth 2 was incredibly difficult for him, and he
and
was
putting Iris in danger on Earth 2.
Yeah.
No, it's absolutely true. So I would have liked to have seen that. Mainly, I wanted it to be John Wesley Shipp because I loved him. I
And
always
his
thought he
character
was
is
great.
gone. Like,
And
I
yeah,
thought
he
that
was
was
like,
That was such a cheap exit too. I was
was.
so
I
irritated.
gotta
I don't know if that
go.
was a contractual issue, if he wasn't available. I don't know what led to that story, but that just seemed like so anticlimactic.
It was shoehorned in, and it was not. That was one of the worst writing moments of
honestly
My
this.
thought-
son got me out of jail
So I'm
after
gonna
trying
go away,
for 15 years. Peace out after a burger. Like,
Here's the thing. I understand after going through something like that. That's how I heal. I take a trip. I'm back in a couple months if it takes that long.
but you don't have any kids.
No, I don't. That's just it. I really expected him and Barry to reconnect, and I knew that he wasn't going to be a season regular, so I thought he was going to be in 2 or 3 episodes. Barry and him would move in together for a while, and then Barry would get his own place, or Barry would move back in with Joe and Iris because they
I
have
was
a good
okay with them
deal.
not living. I would imagine that John would want his own apartment after being in prison for so long, his own space. That he could do what he
I
wanted
figured
with.
he'd want to reconnect
but-
with his son, and
But he could do that.
there's no better way to do that than living with somebody. He missed out on most of his life.
I know, which is why I expected him to stick around, and I expected him to be in a few episodes. I expected him to be around for at least the next 2 or 3, and then as he could.
Yeah.
But for him to just peace out at that one episode and
First
we don't know if
episode,
we're ever going
man.
to see him again, it's like it doesn't
Right.
seem worth it after all that struggle. And Barry just, I don't know, I feel like he was too okay with it.
I'm hoping that we get to see one of the Earths where it's him as the Flash and the Trickster, and they just show reruns.
They did show him in the time stream.
Right.
So it's a possibility. And I know it was corny and cheesy, but I actually loved that TV show.
I never actually watched it.
It was great.
I watched.
Come on, I mean, for the
I
time,
watched
for what it
Birds
was.
of Prey.
Of course, it was cheesy, but this was 15 years before Birds of Prey.
Oh, I know.
This was late 80s, and it was cheesy. It was the rubber suit. I get it, but it was still fun, and they managed to use Mark Hamill as the Trickster anyway. So that's an interesting take on things.
So
but-
getting back to Zoom a little bit,
Right,
I kind of wanted Zoom to be they're the speedster death from the comic books. I think we talked about this a little bit on our last podcast, but he looks very much like there's a Black Flash in the comic books. If you're not familiar, that's actually the death for speedsters, and it's there just to end speedsters' lives basically. And Barry in the comic books was able to outrun death and there's a whole story arc involving that.
It's
and
the
that
whole
would've been cool.
allegory of it. You can't outrun death is the idea.
Exactly, and
So-
it probably would have been too early to do that in this show. I feel like that's like a season 5 or something, but it would have been cool to see. And they definitely, obviously, took some inspiration from that character in
with
the comic
the
books.
time wraiths.
Yeah, in the time race, and even in Zoom's appearance, he looks a lot like the Black
Well,
Flash. from the
Zoom
comic
looks like the
Yeah.
Death Flash.
The time rates are closer to
Like
what they
Dementors
actually
or-
are. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's really fair. I think that would have been really cool. But when I realized they're not going that route, I was curious how they were going to explain who this was.
Yeah.
So, right now, predictions. What's the end game for Flash Season 2? How does he defeat Zoom?
I have a hunch.
He just goes faster, just like he defeats every other villain.
I think it would be cool.
Run, Barry, run, and then he's gonna magically defeat him.
Yeah, Kavanaugh has to say
Exactly.
that for Barry to win. If Kavanaugh hasn't said that and Barry's
He's gonna
fighting a
lose.
speedster, he's going to lose.
Yeah.
I think it would
Or
be cool.
trajectory?
I think it would be cool if Barry could get Zoom stuck in the Speed Force. So, they've got the portals going between the worlds. They're all sealed
And he's
now,
the time wraith.
right? Well, wouldn't that be an interesting kind of like connecting everything
I don't
back?
think they'll do that.
They're
Zoom
not.
eventually
But it'll be-
becomes a time wraith
Yeah.
because he's stuck there so long.
I think that would be cool. Now you're
That
right.
is
They're
a
probably not going to do that.
Fantastic ending.
But I think that'd be neat.
Why don't we write DC?
Here's the thing. I've been
I think it's a
thinking
little late. They probably
everything
already
that they
filmed
keep
that.
doing. I'm like that. Every time I had these
you're right.
ideas, I'm like it's too sci-fi-ish, and then they do it on the show.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll do it.
And then they reference it being in Star Trek or something like that. And,
But-
they make references to stuff like that.
But
all the
they,
time.
I mean,
do.
with the whole Earth 2 concept, they've been doing some pretty crazy sci-fi-ish things that Fringe. Everyone said Fringe failed for trying to do. So maybe they'll try something like that.
How about you? Endgame?
I don't know. I mean, I don't want him to just run faster, but I get the feeling that that's probably what it's going to end up being.
That's
I
what
don't think
they've
it's
been
going to be
building
a
up to.
clever, right? I mean, I just don't think there's going to be a clever ending to it. I hope there's going to be, but
Maybe he's running too fast.
I hope the battle is at least on Earth 2.
But how's Barry going to get there?
well, same way he got to Supergirl's
That was
universe.
an accident.
Yeah, maybe
So?
he'll have another accident.
I think they're going to pinpoint the accident. They have another doctor that they work with now. Hartley is back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, that's possible.
I think they're going to figure out why the accident happened. I'm a little disappointed they haven't just flat out said, hey, by the way, I met a chick that can fly. She was an alien.
Well, there was a tweet that went out from one of the showrunners of The Flash that made me think that the episode trajectory was going to be a prequel to Supergirl, and that ended up not being the case. So I was a little bummed about that. I was expecting that episode to end with Barry having the thing on his chest and him running and going through a portal. And that was the end of the
that
episode.
would have been cool.
But they didn't do that.
No, they did reference the tech that he wears
Yeah.
in Supergirl in the Flash episode. So
But I don't know. I hope that they do Zoom justice. I'm a little curious to see how they do it themselves. My biggest problem is the Zoom in the costume with his mannerisms, the way he talks, the voice that they're using, which, by the way, is a Star Trek actor, doesn't look, sound, or feel anything like the guy who plays Jay Garrick.
no, but Barry doesn't sound the same when he's like vibrating his vocal
No,
cords or
you're
whatever.
right.
so-
But like when he takes the mask off, you're like, it just doesn't fit. Like the way he does the head motions when he talks to Flash and stuff. Like that's not the same guy. It just doesn't work for me.
That's fair.
What I want to know is why didn't Jay Garrick have blue lightning when he was running and he was taking that speed drug?
I
Whereas
agree.
Zoom has blue lightning
He
and
didn't-
Trajectory has blue lightning.
He didn't
But
take enough of it to go fast enough.
Trajectory didn't have the blue lightning till the very end. Like,
She took more of
had-
it. She took too much of it.
Yeah.
Jay didn't take enough.
But
to
his
get-
cells were degrading too. They had already said so.
because
I
he
mean,
had been taking a lower dosage of it over time. She decided to take a ton of
seems
it
like a
really
plot
quick.
device to me.
No, that made sense.
Otherwise,
That's
it would
how a lot of-
have instantly
that's
been,
how-
oh, Jay Garrick's Zoom.
That's
No, it's-
how a lot of drugs work. Your first time taking cocaine,
They give
unless
you
you
blue
have
lightning?
a heart issue, it doesn't immediately like turn you into dust. It's an overtime addiction thing.
It's
that
a
kills
tech
you.
the tech thing too, right? They created the sci-fi drug that makes you faster. So for Jay, he took enough of it to get his quote speed back, and maybe he's not as fast as Barry is normally. We don't really know what that's like. So he took enough of it to get his speed back.
How cool was that helmet like tack
But-
thing that he did though with
yeah.
the speed? I was like,
Yeah.
what? That
But
is awesome.
Trajectory.
Yeah, it was great. I actually said that.
That was
You could
fun for them to
ask
actually use the helmet.
Yeah.
But Trajectory, she took as much of it as she could get her hands on as quickly as she could, and that got enough of it in her system to reach, terminal speed essentially.
But why didn't it do that to Zoom?
Well, we don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
maybe
think
it's
that's going to be a plot hole.
maybe it's something in the suit. Maybe it's something in the suit.
Maybe.
They said that he had been jumping to other Earths, collecting other flashes, other speeds. So that could also be why he's able to maintain that speed and the lightning without turning into dust, pretty much. Is because he has other speed. It's not just Velocity 9 in him, it's other people's.
Yeah, because we don't know how Zoom uses his speed yet. It could be the Speed Force. It could not be the Speed Force. We don't actually know. So depending on what that answer is...
Yeah, they haven't confirmed it was actually Velocity 9.
Well, yeah, you don't see the little lightning thing around his eyes, too, like you see from Barry whenever he hit the Speed Force.
So we don't know why he is a speedster.
You can't really see his eyes.
Well, that's true.
But we don't know. We have no idea. Was he born a speedster? Was there a similar accent in a different situation? We have no idea.
Well, we'll find
Tell
out.
us your thoughts. We're at the very end. Let us know what you think of The Flash. Let us know how you feel about the show. Should we talk Arrow or Supergirl at all?
Please, let's talk about Arrow. I want to say all the things.
I don't want to waste my time.
Real quick, though, before we end, I want to announce the winners to our contest last week.
Oh, yeah, we did stuff.
We did stuff. Last week, we gave away 2 promo posters for Batman vs. Superman, and we had our 2 winners. One is Dogsthorpe, who we have been in contact with, so you'll be getting that. And the other is Zaphoid, who we have not been in contact with. So if you could message us here on Twitch, Zaphoid, that would be fantastic, so we can find a way to get you that poster. So thank you guys for listening in. We appreciate that. We'll give other stuff away as we can, we promise.
Sweet.
Is there anything else you guys want to talk about tonight? Are we good?
We're good.
We're good.
You can find me at Super Sirens on all the social medias if you want to contact me and you're not already one of my 5,000 friends.
First of all, why?
Why do you want to contact me?
No, why aren't they one of your 5,000 whatever?
Because I only have 5,000 friends.
I know, but I'm saying they should
Not
have
a-
already liked you. I'm
I
trying
have
to give
like
you a compliment.
300, so,
Goals.
True.
Ryan, how about you?
Buster Props on all the social medias, and then Mitomo too, but not Buster Props on Mitomo. I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't really know how you can find me on Mitomo. but
Find us
We're
on
not
Mitomo.
quite sure about that yet.
We're working on it. We're going to do some testing on that.
Learn
So
some ridiculous things about us.
it's crazy.
I
but
use mine to troll all the questions.
Me too.
yeah, I think all of you guys, Nicole does that too. I actually answer the questions.
No,
So
that's no fun.
But so if you want boring Mitomo, anyway,
Nintendo's teacher's pet.
I love Nintendo. I'm a fanboy. Anyway, you can catch us on griddaily.com, or we are also on iTunes at Screen-Heroes. If you subscribe on iTunes, or even if you don't, drop us a review out there. Give us a rating. We really appreciate that. It helps people find our podcast. And if you give us a review, we promise to give you a shout-out live on the podcast. So please do that. And you can also find us at facebook.com/griddaily or at grid_daily on Twitter. And if you're not watching this live or listening to it live on Twitch, we are at twitch.tv/griddaily. I think that's it.
One last thing. Pick our topic for next week. We don't have a topic. Give us some ideas. You could do it right now. You can write it on Facebook or Twitter or something. We need to know.
Yeah. Help us pick next week. So we'll catch you next time, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.